try to arrange myself so that the sun isn't so glaring. That's probably better. Now let me make myself beautiful. uh, okay, so Kratom is a very controversial plant. It's been banned in a lot of places in the United States. I've heard that the FDA or however it works in the United States, that it may have actually been listed as Schedule 1. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't honestly kept up with it because I don't live there, and so I don't really care that much. Um, but I do care because limiting access to important medicine is never good for anyone. You know, aside from creating a dangerous black market and artificially inflating the price, a lot of suffering people, a lot of suicides could probably be averted because kratom is so restorative if used correctly. And so, as a lot of you guys might know, I've suffered from chronic health problems for maybe the last 25 years. Pretty debilitating a lot of the time. Really, you know, chronic problems are unbelievably devastating. And in the case of chronic fatigue syndrome and the ilk related things or unrelated things with similar presentation, it's really hard because people have trouble understanding. You know, you don't appear necessarily to be ill, and it comes and goes, so your family members will suspect that it's psychosomatic. And so, you know, I don't want to get too deep into the specifics of that, but it leads to depression. And, you know, in my case, a lot of the best years of my life were more or less taken from me, and it ultimately led to an opioid or opiate addiction. Because I had a choice. I could either lay in bed and feel miserable and get nothing done, or I could take Oxycontin or morphine, or, you know, eventually I started occasionally even smoking heroin, which honestly, you know, just as a caveat, and I'm in no way endorsing or promoting it, but compared to the pharmaceuticals, like mild tar, the Mexican like mild heroin, was way less problematic than the pharmaceuticals. It was pretty easy to control compared to like an Oxycontin habit, which, you know, I don't know what that says about pharmaceuticals. I mean, I guess I do. And so this kind of went on and off for years because, you know, I don't want to be addicted to anything. It's not convenient for me. Withdrawals are absolutely horrendous. I would maybe wish some on my worst enemy, depending on what they'd done, but it's pretty terrible. And, you know, you can't sleep, so there's no escaping it. You can't just go and sleep and escape. You're stuck thrashing around. And, you know, I think I went through that twice pretty severely over the years because I would, you know, I didn't want to continue doing it. But then after a few months, I would start taking them again because I got sick of doing nothing. And, you know, a lot of people rationalize their drug abuse, but if you actually look at the periods where I was using opioids, there's no doubt that I would have like multiple business ventures going on. I would be playing in a band 40 hours a week. At one point I was actually supporting my entire band and like most of our neighborhood because the pot market was collapsing and people just needed help. And so, you know, I was managing to do all of this stuff. And so, you know, in my case, it was kind of a necessary evil. And then eventually I discovered kratom. And it is true that you can walk out of a pretty serious physical dependency on opioids, but just by taking some kratom, like you have no withdrawal. And that is probably the number one thing that has most people that are trapped in opioid addiction stuck, is just the withdrawals. It's not that they don't want to stop and they don't have the will to stop. It's just that, you know, after like day 2 or day 3 without any sleep, thrashing around and the horrible torture in your muscles and everything, it's extremely difficult to, yeah, Suboxone is absolutely terrible. 4 days of Ibogaine generally will straighten you out. Yeah, Ibogaine is even more, if you're just trying to quit an opiate or heroin, Ibogaine is the best thing you can possibly do. In most cases, you can actually walk right out of a habit without any withdrawal. It is a little bit dangerous, but generally, if you don't break the rules, you will survive. So really, yeah, Ibogaine, as far as like plant therapies to escape an opioid addiction, that is the best. But if you have a situation where you have to manage pain, or you have like chronic fatigue, which is usually accompanied by pain, and you need to continue use, there is absolutely no question that Kratom is a upgrade. You know, it's definitely the lesser of two evils. If you're stuck in a position where you must choose evil, it is definitely by far the lesser evil. It still can cause withdrawals. I've had Kratom withdrawals in the past. They are relatively minor compared to, you know, Oxycontin or heroin or something. But they still, you know, rather than not being able to sleep for like 3 to 5 days, I had fitful sleep. And I would wake up and twitch, you know, the whole, what did they call it, kicking back in the day, because your legs actually kick. I'm trying to stabilize this a little bit. I'm actually sitting on a log down by the river in the jungle. So, so okay, so that's, you know, the long and short of it, basically, that it's a definitely an effective and far less dangerous alternative to opiates and, you know, depression. Also, it is an extraordinarily helpful plant, and I very strongly suggest or suspect, sorry, that there are something like L-Dopa, which is a dopamine precursor. There is some sort of glutamatergic action going on with the plant. There are like 80 or 115 alkaloids in there. There are a ton of them. So, you know, my very strong suspicion is that there's something in there that is either a dopamine precursor, or, you know, it's dopamatergic rather than, what is this? Yeah, it's crazy how complex it is. It really is. And it's the neuroscience of it is really insane. And so, yeah, in my case, what happened is that I had some debilitating health issues that intensified. I mean, I've had them for 20 years, but they intensified to the point of being debilitating about 3 years ago. And, you know, I had a young son just as it started to get really bad and unmanageable. And it's been really hard, you know, and I had to power through it. You know, I'm not in a position to just stop and rest. I had to find ways to manage, find ways to cope. I had to lean on my YouTube community. Thank you guys so much out there for supporting us over the years. And I eventually was able to convince myself to really start working with ayahuasca intensively again. And that lifted me up a lot. That really helped. I think my primary issue has been inflammation. I think neuroinflammation even. It got so bad that I had neuroinflammation because I wasn't able to really think coherently. I was making decisions that are not characteristic of me. It was almost like watching someone else doing stuff, and then I would kind of come to and realize that I had done all these insane things that I wouldn't normally do. It was rough. And so, you know, there's been a lot of improvement, but in the last, I guess, a month, a friend of mine shipped me a couple of kilos of Kratom, and the impact that it has had on my productivity, my depression that I didn't really realize was there, and the way that I feel on a day-to-day basis, it's just so remarkable and powerful and helpful. And, you know, given the fairly low incidence of side effects, and the fact that, you know, withdrawal, if you have just a little bit of discipline and willpower, it's really easy to taper off because you can use a scale and you can just subtract, you know, whatever you can handle, 10% every 3 days or something, if you want to, you know, try to get off of it. So That was my main motivation, is just that it helped me so much. And I know I get a lot of questions about it. People are afraid of it. It's true that it can kill you. It's true that if you, you know, eat, well, probably only with alcohol or other drugs. I don't know that there have been any certain instances of fatal overdose where there was not alcohol or benzodiazepines or something also involved. And so, man, that glare, that's better. How about jungle background? And here's a log. Always scary to sit on logs out here because, you know, it's the jungle. Okay, so I think we probably have gotten through those levels. You know, the main two compounds, active compounds are, and I'm never sure how to say this exactly, but I think mitragyne and 7-hydroxy mitragyne. The first one is more euphoric and more stimulating and less potent, and it is the predominant alkaloid. So there's more of that by weight than the other, which we'll just call 7-OH because that's the short name. And so the 7-OH is much more potent analgesic, and the mitragyne declines as the 7-OH increases over the lifespan of the plant. So the white leaf is a very young plant, the green leaf is the middle stages, and the red leaf is what I would consider to be the fully mature, fully potent stage. And so, in my opinion, white has no activity. It does nothing for me at all. Some people say it increases energy without any of the other side effects. So, you know, the white would be for people that are extremely sensitive, or maybe just are trying to quit drinking coffee. Or, you know, I would imagine it could even be an aid to stopping smoking, because I'm hypothesizing, I don't know that tests have been done, but the presence of a dopamine precursor or some kind of glutamatergic activity definitely will help with that kind of habit. So, you know, I'm sure the white has its uses. I can only speak from my own subjective experience. But for me, the white is basically inactive most of the time. Then the green is the middle stage, which is more euphoric and more stimulating. And then by the time the vein is turned red, the 7-OH is more predominant. And so the analgesic, sedating, opioid, it's a partial agonist and an agonist, or was it partial antagonist and agonist or something? I don't know. It has like dual action. And yeah, so when you see white, green, and red, those are not different types. It's just a different phase of the plant's life. And then also you're seeing a lot nowadays this yellow kratom, which I haven't really looked into a lot. It's a special drying process that probably, I'm guessing the intent is to dry the plant in such a way that there's more 7-OH. But, you know, I haven't really even read about it, so I don't want to say too much. By the way, you guys, please do me a favor, hit the like button, share, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notifications. I am demonetized, so I get no support from YouTube, so we really appreciate it when people support, which you can do through the links in the description. Also, we're still having the plant medicine retreats. We have 3 or 4 more spaces open for the April at Ngaru, which is an amazing property, and it's probably the only month we're going to do it there. It's an incredible place. I mean, there are like tame wild animals, coati that comes down out of the mountains, and it's super friendly like a cat. And then there's a macaw that comes down, and it also will let you pet it, but then it just flies back off into the mountains. So I find that really awesome that there are animals there that aren't captive, that are friendly. And if you're interested, you can check out, I have a playlist of all of our retreat videos. So let's see, this kratom thing. We talked a little bit about withdrawals. Depression, definitely extremely effective. You know, the addiction resulting in withdrawal, you see a tremendous amount of variance in people's reports about that. My experience has been that, you know, there have been periods in my life where I've taken a ton of kratom for a long time, and when I quit, I didn't notice anything at all. There was one occasion where I was like waking up with jumpy, the kicking leg thing, uh, twitching, whatever, spasms. But still, again, nothing compared to real opiates. And let's see, I know there's something else here. I don't know that the smokable form is really worthy. Let's see, withdrawals. Oh, if you take it on an empty stomach, it will make you so sick that you'll wish you were dead. I mean, that's literally the opposite of every single article that I've read over the course of 10 years or something. Yeah, I'm not sure where you got that information. And then the yellow is supposed to be a type of drying. But yeah, I mean, everything that I've read says the opposite of that. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying that I've never seen that anywhere. And also in terms of the effect, it just makes sense. Like the same thing happens with cannabis. As it gets older, the THC degrades into, cannabinol and all these other compounds that actually make you much more tired. And the crystals kind of turn amber. So yeah, I don't know. Either way, the red is definitely the most narcotic and the most potent. A lot of the charts that I've seen, it's like double the white. So, okay, and then also there are a lot of different regions where kratom grows, and so the differences then are, it's such a sophisticated plant in terms of its alkaloid profile that, if they've been hybridizing and breeding in Bali for I don't know how long, 200 years or whatever, and then, you have some trading of plant varieties and, in Indonesia, they have all going on. So that just really adds a lot of complication and complexity to it. I also find all of the charts online to be a bit circumspect because they're almost entirely provided by people that are vendors. So that's, one of the biggest difficulties here, I think, is to get reliable information because you sort of have a conflict of interest when you're looking at, when you're getting information from people that sell it. But, my experience definitely is that, white is the mildest, green is energetic and euphoric, and red is much more narcotic. Red Mingda is the strain for pain, red Bali also. Red Thai is another one that is really high in 7-OH. There is a very limited strain that's only bred in this little region called Kong, I think it is, that is supposed to be somehow different. I thought it took them 30 years or something to mature. Anyways, what was I saying? Kong. Totally lost my train of thought. Basically, I just want to make sure that we get all of the bases covered. Oh, in terms of the extreme variety of different chemical profiles that you will find in the kratom, definitely the only way that you're really going to get anywhere with that is by experimentation. But, oh, that's what I was saying. The Malaysian has, I don't think anyone knows why, but it is super long lasting. So if that's a concern for you, if you maybe work at a job where you have to work long hours and you don't want to see anyone to see you, consume the kratom. Oh yeah, here we go, liver damage. This is the one major caveat. This may be the price tag that comes with kratom use. And so this is why you should probably only take it in large quantities on a regular basis if you, have some kind of serious chronic problem. Obviously, it kind of goes without saying, but I have never been a heavy drinker. And when I started to get really sick or more sick over the last few years, I discovered that I have fatty liver. and it's non-alcoholic fatty liver. But I kind of suspect that taking excessive amounts of kratom may have caused the problem. And that, I think, is supported by the fact that, according to some research, if you consume any alcohol at all, yeah, if you consume any alcohol at all, and I was during that time period where I was taking a lot of kratom, like I would drink beer at band practice a lot. So that is something to, I mean, psyched substance, almost losing his family. I mean, that is like, you can't really do that. You can't take a single individual, and he was also doing other opiates. I saw that video. He was totally strung out on opioids. It wasn't just kratom. But that's just one individual. By and large, most people are not going to have that kind of extreme experience with it. And you know, one of the reasons I think is that there is a huge difference between taking a handful of kratom and taking morphine or oxycontin or dilaudid or something. Um, I don't know, ascending ancient, and it should be, I want to make it clear that the liver damage is hypothetical. It does not, with moderate doses in a healthy person, cause any detectable changes in, blood tests. So, it's not even certain that it causes any liver damage, but it is generally the case that fillers in like Narcan or what are those? Things that have oxycodone and hydrocodone, but also fillers. It's the acetaminophen and the fillers that cause the liver damage, for the most part, and kidney damage or whatever it is. So this, like I said, it's not certain that it even causes liver damage at all. So one thing that you should not do is consume alcohol. If you're going to take kratom on a regular basis, you probably should give up drinking. Because there is some reason to, no, I don't run. I definitely don't run. I swim out there though, and that river is hauling ass, man. It's scary as hell. I almost drowned in there a few weeks ago because I misjudged the distance to shore, and I'm not in the best shape because after years of being ill and largely incapacitated, I was not in the best shape, and I didn't know how bad of shape I was in, and I ran completely out of energy, like 10 feet from the shore, couldn't touch the bottom, and I just happened to drift another like 8 inches and could put my toe down, and I had to just stand there totally still until I could move again because all of my energy was just gone completely. Like, it was insane to suddenly be paralyzed in a river, unable to touch the bottom, and my friend had gone just a little bit ahead, so he wasn't watching. Anyways, yeah, I mean, I swim. I don't really run so much. But yeah, I mean, I think, I have I'm going to do another live stream tonight about the fact that Terence McKenna deceived all of us back in the day. And this is something that no one talks about. And it's just kind of swept under the rug. And I'm not doing it just because I want to troll Terence McKenna. It's really important that we all kind of take note of the mistakes of even giant intellects like that and their human weaknesses, and sort of use them as a mirror to look within ourselves. And so that's my intent, but it is pretty bad, what I'm going to reveal tonight. So that'll be at like 9:30. But I think we pretty much covered all the bases with kratom. I mean, I just wanted to encourage anyone that is struggling with opiate addiction or knows anyone that is, to just try kratom. Somebody asked me about my dose and I didn't really answer. I don't weigh it every time, but I think I only take 2 to 5 grams. I don't know about this transhumanistic agenda. I don't really buy into a lot of the conspiracies about that. And also transhumanism was a lot different concept in the 80s and 90s than it is now. Um, Yeah, like I said, I mean, it may be that it didn't cause the liver damage. I am just trying to make note of the fact that if there is anything to be concerned about, that seems to be it. And it doesn't seem that kratom causes significant liver damage unless it's used in conjunction with alcohol. And that means at the same time, not, after the fact. So I hope this was helpful to anyone out there that might be struggling. Oh, one thought that I didn't finish is that morphine and Dilaudid and all those kind of things that we're talking about the impact that opioids have on people's families, and those substances get you high. Like you can knock yourself out. You're scratching and nodding your head, and it's hard to keep your eyes open. And I mean, just as intoxicated. Right on, David. As if you're drunk or something. I mean, opiates are really, really intoxicating. Kratom is not, and in fact, it sort of has this anti-abuse mechanism sort of built into it that, at least in my experience, you're going to get sick way before you're going to get really high. So if you take too much of it, you're just going to feel sick as hell. It's not going to get you more high. So there's no point in like serious serial abuse. The dose range, I don't know if I answered this. I think I only take like 3 to 5 grams. Some people take as much as a ½ ounce. So I know it is safe to take up to 15 grams in a smoothie. And I think, if you're someone that's trying to get relief from a heroin addiction or something of that level of difficulty, you may need that much to stop the withdrawals. But no, Chris, kratom is definitely psychoactive. Do you help people with ayahuasca in a PMA kind of way? Yeah, I do. I do integration consultations, and you can send me an email. It's in the description, but it's luminosis111@gmail.com. And someone asking about the athletic stuff, due to severe debilitating illness, I'm really out of shape and I haven't been exercising. But being in flow state as a like permanent state of mind is like my sort of modus operandi. And so now that I have all this kratom and I'm getting more functional, I definitely am all about exercising. When you asked about running, it's just that I was saying the impact, it's just to start out swimming has just been a lot. I think it's better for you anyways, the whole body and dodging piranhas, considering where I am. But okay, so I think that's about it. I mean, we talked about the basic 3 strains, the different regions, and how that's just kind of, you just have to kind of feel them out. Red Ming Da, Red Bali, and Red Thai seem to be the kings for pain. The popular one for depression is Green Malay. I have a bunch of it, and that's what I've taken today, and it does seem to be energizing, and it would be difficult to become depressed. I don't notice dehydration because I'm constantly drinking water. This is coffee though, so at any rate, guys, I do hope this was helpful. I hope I didn't miss anything of critical importance. But yeah, I mean, kratom can change your life. It can save your life. It can save a friend's life. So, don't believe the fear tactics. Be smart, be responsible. But, don't suffer unnecessarily. Don't allow anyone that you love to suffer unnecessarily. It's definitely a viable option for anyone that has to escape a horrendous addiction. And it's, again, definitely, if it's an evil, it's by far the lesser of the 2 evils. So thank you guys so much. I'll see you again at like 9:30. Those of you that are interested in, it is the 10th anniversary of the world, December 21st, 2012, today. So I decided to do like a retrospective and have a look at like where my head was at what Terrence McKenna's deceptions did to us exactly, and you know what we've learned from all of it. So please hit the like button, share, subscribe, support us on Patreon or PayPal or Zelle, all links in the description. You can also contact me about retreats, integration, consultations, ritual magic instruction. I do guitar lessons. I have not tried DPT, and I don't know that I would. I'm not so interested in the full spectrum of psychedelic experiences at this point in my life. I know what DMT is, I know what psilocybin is, I know what LSD is, I know what San Pedro is, I know what MDMA is, I know what they do, and I know, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's really enough in my toolkit to, you know, cover all the bases. You know, actually, that's not even true. I probably would try DPT once just to see what's going on. I did try 1P LSD about maybe a couple weeks ago. Really unimpressed with that, but I'm gonna try a much higher dose. It is convenient because you know, in a lot of places it's legal. So I would really like to know if it's possible to actually, you know, if it's really actually an LSD prodrug and the body actually metabolizes it into LSD, that would be an extremely useful tool. And I only took 100 micrograms, 200 micrograms last time. So I'm gonna try 400 and I will do a report on that. But yeah, anyways, guys, I have to go and I will see you guys